Last night's windstorm destroyed several homes in local communities within the Kanifing municipality. Stay tuned for the details. And more than 70% of households in Nigeria struggle to access clean drinking water. And the ongoing Ukrainian conflict could further derail this year's farming season in the European country. Well, this and more coming your way on The World Today. This is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. Many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante, and now the news in detail. Now, some dozens of homes in the Fajikunda, Bajankoto were damaged in a heavy windstorm that ripped through the area Wednesday night. Families reported that the storm blew up their roofs, while the three branches rather, crashed on housetops. The storm caused some minor injuries on 4 children who have since received treatment and are reported recovering. And Moses Imendi has the details of that in this report.
Barely 2 months after the catastrophic floods in the end of July, a different form of natural disaster strikes again in Fajikunda, Bajonkoto, causing damage to dozens of homes in the area. The storm also destroyed an Arabic school that was housing up to 50 students in one of the homes. The students were sleeping when a tree branch tore through the roof into their room, injuring 4 of the kids. The storm cut off power lines, prompting a power outage in the area. Families grieved the destruction of their property as they narrate the incident. Head of the Samate family and operator of the Arabic school, Mohammed Lamin Samate, was at Gunjur when the storm hit his home last night. He was informed about the incident through a phone call by his younger brother.
I got here, thank God, I met the family in safe situation as my brother explained, but they were crammed in the mosque. 4 of the students were injured because of a crashing mango branch penetrated their roof. They were sleeping, they did not notice, so falling building bricks injured some of them. My uncle then told us to take them to the hospital, and we did so. Now have received treatment. I have thanked God because the injuries they suffered are minor ones. None of them suffered a broken bone. It was just internal pain.
Mr. Samate told Eyeafrica TV that what happened is the will of God and is bound to happen. He said he is thankful because there was no life loss in the incident. Bafatu Sise was inside her room when the storm began, and she explains what happened.
I was seated in the parlor when the storm began, so I rushed to gather laundry clothes at the back. After that, I tried to close the door, but I could not because of the wind. Then I called the girl in the room to come help, but when the wind got fierce, my grandchild was in the parlor, and a tree branch fell on the corrugated seat. The child panicked until the mother rushed to hold and asked the kid why being panicked. I told the mother something has happened, but at this time, the room was filled with dust. We could not even see the whole place, torn dark, and the storm did not calm, it continued to increase.
She and the kids soon rushed out of the room into a mosque for safety, where they spent the rest of the night. Salisanyang's home is approximately less than 200 meters away from the Samate home, and this is the second time that her home suffered windstorm damages in 2 successive years. She grimaced as she narrates the nightmarish experience of last night.
I am here with my younger ones. My mom had gone for a funeral, so yesterday the storm occurred after midnight. We were inside the house and saw that the storm is getting vicious. So I waked the kids up and we all rushed out of the house. But as we rushed out, the wind lifted the roof and threw it to the other end. By the time our neighbors arrived, the building had collapsed. That's how we gathered outside here, leaving the house and belongings to be destroyed. It is not good to see this happening to my home. I have pain because everyone knows heading a family is hard for a woman. My dad died less than 3 years ago, so I am the head of the family now. But a woman cannot have that means to meet family needs. I really feel the pain, and this reminds me of my dad's passing, because if he was alive, this would have been his responsibility. He's not here, so this is a hard hit. We have not slept since the destruction occurred last night.
Salifu Sanyang, a younger brother to Sally, is now calling out for support to build back after the damages they suffered from the windstorm.
This happened to us last year, but God made it possible for us to help ourselves out of the situation. But this time, all the 3 houses have been damaged, so we need financial support. As it is now, it is just my sister, the small kids, my brother, who has been sick for the last 6 months, and me who are here. I am going to school, and my brother has not been working for up to 6 months now, so we really need help.
I'm out of money for Japan.
The affected families expressed gratitude to their neighbors for providing swift helping hand in cleaning up after the windstorm. Moses Imende, Eyeafrica News.
Well, we only hope the government or any philanthropist can come to their aid. A family in the Fajikunda was affected by yesterday night's windstorm. Of course, they are currently living in such a devastating situation. Now, moving on. Several rural communities in Nigeria are finding it difficult to access clean drinking water, especially during the dry season. Residents in the affected area usually store water during the rainy season for domestic use. Over 70% of Nigeria's households relies solely on self-water supply from streams and water ponds, which usually instigate health complications, according to local health officials. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Priscilla Bia and her family live in Janta Adamu, a community in Jos that is surrounded by rocks and mountains. She says accessing clean water is a challenge, especially during the dry season.
We've never had it good in this community in terms of water, especially for drinking and cooking. Many times in the past, we've had to store water during the rainy season to use in the dry season. It's that bad.
The rocky nature of the area makes it difficult to sink wells or drill boreholes. Most members of the community rely on a stream that runs from the mountain tops during the rainy season for their water needs. But the water isn't clean enough and has led to disease outbreaks. Health practitioners say more than 950 cases of cholera were recorded in the state last year.
We've seen a lot of outbreaks of infectious diseases that are related to poor water provision or waterborne diseases. One is cholera that we've seen over the past 3 years. Almost every year within the last 3 years, we've had cases of outbreaks of cholera in Plateau State and also in other parts of the north, which is closely related to the water supply that we have.
The Plateau State government says more than 14 people have died of cholera in the last 2 months. Members of this community are calling on the government to ensure adequate water supply in the region.
It is not a pleasant situation at all. Our children have been the ones more at the receiving end. We urgently need government's intervention with regards to potable water in this community.
The state government has earmarked $18 million to expand water supplies in the state. It says it is for the construction of additional water reservoirs, overhauling of old water pipes, and laying of new ones in communities battling water challenges in the state. Members of this community like Priscilla Bia are hopeful that these efforts by the government will improve access to safe but also sufficient water supply in the near future.
And from the report in Nigeria, coming back home, parents of an 8-year-old girl who is battling a heart disease have launched an appeal for support to enable their daughter to access overseas medical treatment. The 8-year-old has been suffering from heart disease since she was born, prompting experts to ask the family to look for sponsorship as the treatment can only be conducted overseas. Mariama Cham has the details in this report.
This girl has been under the care of the Medical Research Council unit in the Gambia just after birth in 2014 with complex congenital heart disease. Complex congenital heart disease refers to a group of heart defects present at birth. These defects occur when the heart doesn't develop properly in the womb. According to a medical report from MRC, the girl has been taking medicines called furosemide 20 mg and bisoprolol 1.25 mg OD to help her slow the progression of the disease. The young girl's father explains her ordeal as his daughter grew up with the illness.
1 month.
The sickness was discovered a month after her birth, and she always cries a lot. We took her to RVTH and she was admitted. Then after a while, they transferred us to MRC, and that is how we know about the disease. Then they started treatment on her. So after 2 months, they told us that they will try to help us get a chance for an overseas treatment, but it did not work out.
After
The young girl was on enalapril but was stopped due to the new development of cyanotic spells. The family is appealing to the government, private institutions and philanthropists to support their daughter's overseas treatment.
To anyone whom Allah has blessed with a little or more, we seek your support. Honestly speaking, we cannot afford her treatment. The best thing we can do right now is to look for support for her overseas treatment.
The young girl is in urgent need of cardiac surgery as soon as possible for definite management of her condition, which is currently not available in the Gambia. Anyone interested to support the girl to get her life back can reach the family on 782-3928, 782-3928. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
An 8-year-old girl seeking for overseas medical treatment as his battle against a heart disease. Now, elsewhere in the continent, at least 15 people died in a landslide in western Uganda after their homes were buried following heavy torrential rains on Wednesday. The Uganda Red Cross Society said most of the affected victims were women and children. The country's weather agency had warned that unusual and strong and destructive rains could strike in August to December. Now, thus advised people living in vulnerable areas to be vigilant or evacuate to safe areas. Now, let's have more details of that in this report.
A trail of destruction. This is all that is left of Kasika village. Homes were buried as heavy mud and water swept through this area in the early hours of Wednesday morning.
I received a call at about 5 a.m. I was told that our houses had been washed away. I had to leave and see if there was anything for us or any survivors.
Bodies have been recovered from the mud by rescue teams. The Uganda Red Cross Society says many of them, women and children. Some of the survivors were rushed to hospital, but many more people are believed to be missing.
The damage appears big. We are still trying to find if any more bodies are there, and we are also trying to take a head count of the people around that were living at the center, so that we can manage to identify how many are missing.
Landslides are a common occurrence in this part of Uganda. There have been warnings that such disasters may be on the increase as more rains are expected this month.
We need to intensify our other actions, and these other actions include how do we get the right signals and we alert the people such that we can minimize death and the destruction of livelihoods by either ensuring evacuations, but at the same time, people taking the right decisions.
Emergency response teams are now on the ground to assess the extent of the damage. There is also concern over cracks forming on the slopes of Mountain Elgon in the eastern part of the country bordering Kenya, where recently floods killed more than 30 people. And as the country continues to receive heavy rains, the government has ordered people living in flood and landslide-prone areas to relocate to safer grounds.
Such a devastating situation there in the western part of Uganda. Now, of course, with that report there, we'll now take a break and come back shortly. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
As part of government's commitment towards universal health coverage and also digitize the civil registration and vital statistics systems in the country, the Ministry of Health and partners will embark on a mass birth registration campaign and enrollment for the National Health Insurance Scheme effective August 1st, 2022. Every individual born in the Gambia or by Gambian parents and residents of the Gambia are eligible to register during this important national exercise by providing the following documents: birth certificate, national ID card or passport, driver's license, voter's card, residence permit, that certificate of parent, infant welfare card, alcalo attestation. Rush now to register and encourage your family and friends to do so during this important campaign. For any information, call 1025. This campaign is supported by the government of the Gambia and partners.
ndax yaa ngi am gàllankoor pour seetaan Eyeafrica TV.
asalaamaaleykum askan wi ñu ngi leen di nuyuwaat fii si Eyeafrica TV seen beneen jotaay musul.
mbokk yi ñu ngi leen di nuyu fii si Eyeafrica TV seen programme jamono.
mbokk yi ñu ngi leen di nuyuwaat beneen yoon fii ci Eyeafrica TV.
Amadou Ntolbele ya moy wonyama ay mun
programme o rek mo ko biti do mi kana lungolu kabo tan lungu fo ci malu Eyeafrica TV.
ñu ngi lay yëgal ne mun nga ñoo jotee ci satellite yi mun ngaa seetaan suñ channel bu es bi Eyeafrica TV Plus soxlawuloo dara lu dul dugal frequency bi nga blind scan sa receiver bi sa satellite bi doo ko toxal doo pousse doo pass nga jot li nga xam ne moom moo nekk li nga soxla. gàllankoor boo ci munta am jokkool ak nombre téléphone bii ñi saafaral la lépp lu jëm ci li nga xam ne moom moo nekk sa aajo.
Good morning.
We are back again to bring you another brand new edition of the Good Morning Africa program right here on Africa TV.
Place bi ko jox la amat problème du area rek man loolu la leen wax.
ministry bo am naa fa ñoo xam ne bay neen ba bëgg a dee te ay masters leen am te ñu ngi si ministry bi.
ndax soo gisee nguuri Afrique ñu bañ a wàcc lu ne yaaxa moo di bari ñun soo seetee soppi jon fii sa Gambia moo gën a cher fuel diggante Gambia Sénégal $15 different $16 different.
soo ñëwee nga ne président Adama Barrow Gambia ultimately dañu dëgër bopp wax naa ba sonn naa.
I'm ready for a good day. Morning.
Welcome back, and this is Eyeafrica TV, and you are watching the World Today News Bulletin coming to you live from our studios in Banjul. And moving on, breaking news just reaches our studios that the Queen of England, Elizabeth II, has died. Buckingham Palace has announced. Now, Queen Elizabeth II is Britain's longest reigning monarch. She died at the age of 96. after 70 years on the throne, according to Buckingham Palace. Now, with her death, her eldest son, Charles, automatically becomes Britain's new king. Doctors were earlier concerned about the health of the UK monarch, who was at of course, at the Balmoral Castle in Scotland, the palace said. Now, immediate family had traveled to be with her during her final hours. So that is the latest news coming from the United Kingdom, that Queen Elizabeth II has died, and this is a developing story. We would, of course, bring you more details of that in our subsequent news edition. And of course, moving on now, of course, on the World Today News Bulletin, the Russia-Ukraine conflict is further aggravating existing tensions in the agricultural commodity market. Since late 2021, prices of commodities such as grains, vegetables, oil have reached record high, surpassing even the levels of global crisis for more than a decade. And let's have more details of that in this report.
East of the town of Ortega lies fertile fields used to harvest sunflower seeds. Ortega also has a large military base and holds an important defensive position along the route to the Ukrainian capital. This made it a key Russian target in the first stages of the conflict. One of those fields to the east of Ortega is owned by Buryuk Maxim. It's a 3,000 hectare plantation along the Russian border with around 30 workers.
It's a very dangerous situation because a lot of anti-tanks mines, on the fields, on the road. It can be just over here, I don't know, because it's green. And our worker, 1 month ago, it was a huge explosion, 11 anti-tanks mines.
And is he going to survive?
No.
He died?
Yeah, he died, and his body is, flew just 200 meters from car.
Maxim didn't plan to export via the Odessa port. However, at the moment, he does not see this as economically viable.
In future, maybe in September or October, we will sell some for low price in Odessa or something near. The price is very low now.
With the price for his sunflower seeds dropping by a third from last year, Maxim is not sure how long he can stay profitable in the farming business. So as you can see, littered around Maxim's farm, there is the scars of the Ukrainian conflict. This Russian tank behind me was destroyed by a British-made missile. Additionally, the fields around me are littered with Ukrainian and Russian landmines. This makes Max's job extremely difficult in harvesting his sunflower seeds this season. And this is putting a strain not just on the economic and food security of Ukraine, but also the food security of the world.
And of course, from that report in Ukraine, coming back to the African continent, Tanzania's decision to place a ban on the importation of chickens is adversely affecting poultry farmers in Uganda, leaving operators worried about the situation. This is the second time Tanzania is banning the importation of chickens in a bid to protect its local hatcheries and limit the inflow of standard chickens. The Ugandan Poultry Association reveals that the ban is incurring a huge financial deficit on their business activities and are calling for immediate action to save the situation. Here's more of that in this report.
It's their first day after hatching out, but these chicks are not allowed in Tanzania. Used for meat production, the East African country has put a total ban on importation of day-old chicks.
This is the season which should be the peak, but this time it is not that issue. The business is very, very low. Even our regional buyers are not coming in to buy these chicks.
Nalbega markets her day-old chicks to regional suppliers in Kenya, Tanzania, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Previously, Nalbega would get huge orders for chicks from regional buyers, but not anymore. She's now worried that this drop in demand and the high costs of maintaining the hatchery could edge her out of the poultry business. The Uganda Poultry Association says the ban by Tanzania on day-old chicks has crippled some businesses.
We have been exporting chicks to Tanzania, the members of the association, in numbers of close to 250,000 chicks per month, which translates to close to 4.6 billion Uganda shillings per year that is lost in revenue. And this also translates losses down the chain.
This is the second time Tanzania has banned day-old chicks. Tanzanian officials say they made the decision for the good of domestic hatcheries and also criticized the standard of chicks arriving into the country. But Ugandan farmers attribute this to protectionism. They are appealing to regional leaders to implement the principle of fair trade, which is enshrined in the East African Treaty.
Protectionism in this era does not work. It's about competitiveness. So because at one point you'll find that it's us importing chicks from Tanzania, if they improve their systems and if they can produce cheaper.
It's not clear when Tanzania will open up its market for day-old chicks. But for now, Ugandan farmers like Nalbega will urgently have to find new markets to stay in business.
And the report is coming from the Ugandan capital, Kampala. On to our final story now. Of course, the Kairaba Police Crime Investigation Unit has reported that a 62-year-old woman was gruesomely murdered in her house at Fajara South in Bakau on Sunday afternoon at around 4 p.m. Now, the report indicates that some suspects have been arrested while investigation continues. The Police Communication Department on Thursday updated the media, and Africa's Yahya Jammeh has the details.
The police disclosed that 2 suspects are already in their custody and currently helping with the investigations. They did not, however, disclose much information about the murder as investigations are still on. Superintendent Thomas R.J. Gomez, Deputy Regional Crime Officer for KM, explained some of their findings upon receiving the information.
When we arrived at the scene, my men were there before me, and then when we arrived at the scene, the body was already evacuated from the scene. So all we had to do is just deal with the crime scene and then move on from there. So, but we are also grateful to the people, to the public, because they were very helpful in the course of this investigation. And this is why we are all standing here today, to report to you that progress is being made, although we can't fully detail out to you as to where we are on that. But like I said, we're on the investigations. We've gone a little bit far now, and very soon the case will be at court.
Superintendent Gomez urges the public to report any suspected items to the nearest police station that may be connected to the case. Cadet Assistant Superintendent Bintanjai Jata, spokesperson of the Gambia Police Force, assured Gambians of the timely intervention of the police when crimes occur, while sending the police force's condolences to the bereaved family.
That the Gambia Police Force shall always be committed to protecting the lives and properties of all citizens and residents of the Gambia. As a police institution, we continue to strive to ensure timely response to addressing emerging issues despite our little resources available. On behalf of the Inspector General of Police and the entire Gambia Police Force, we wish to extend our sincere condolence to the bereaved and the community of Bakau and Fajara South on this tragic incident.
In the past months, the Gambia has seen a surge in criminal activities ranging from rape, stealing, and murder, among other serious crimes. The Gambia Police Force reiterates its mandate to protect the lives, properties, and livelihoods of Gambians and residents in the Gambia. Reporting for Eyeafrica News, I am Yahya Jammeh.
Well, and that is quite rather unfortunate. We really hope the police will step up their chest to counter or mitigate the growing challenges in the country. And with that report there, we now bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, as ever, you can visit on our website on Eyeafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.